Hi guys, and welcome back to the Homestead video podcast. Today, Michael and I are sharing how we've been working to create some physical margin in our lives and been working on our diet. Our journey has been interrupted sometimes, but ever evolving. And I just want to share up front the fact that we are not medical. We are not medical professionals and don't want you to think that this is medical advice. We're just sharing the journey that we've been on and where we are right now, and we'd love to hear about yours.
Welcome to the Homestead podcast, where we are building the life we love so that we can focus on the things that are most important. And hello.
Hello.
It's been a crazy week. Okay. We have shared how the year of 2023 is going to be a year of change for us. And we have been talking about creating margin in our lives. And one of those ways, or one of those areas of margin, is physical margin. And focusing on our health as we're getting older. And so that brings up one of the things that we discovered a few years ago.
Yeah, related to, a year of change. We started this a long time ago, and it's been a long process, and we still got a long ways to go. But roughly 6 or 7 years ago, I was at my mother-in-law's for Thanksgiving, and I was enjoying all the food. And next thing you know, I felt terrible. And I felt so bad that I just kind of sunk back into a chair and didn't know what was really going on with me. And in fact, everybody thought I was mad, and I wanted to go home because I felt so bad. And I didn't even go to the doctor. I felt like, well, I'll go home, I'll sleep it off. And then the next morning I woke up and just still felt terrible and went to the doctor. And that's when they ran some tests, and my numbers were sky high, even at that point. And that's
your numbers,
yeah. I still don't understand what my numbers are, but my diabetes numbers, whatever.
blood sugar
numbers. So those were way too high. I was still over 400. 24 hours later. I didn't know anything about type 2 diabetes, and how to go about handling that. And the doctor or nurse practitioner, I can't remember which, just basically told me, okay, I'm going to prescribe metformin, and that's it.
It was metformin and something else too. You had two prescriptions to begin with.
The other thing was. I had felt bad enough that I was willing to start taking it, but if anybody's ever taken metformin before, that it makes you feel terrible. And I'm not going to elaborate, but it's just like, which terrible do I want? And I wasn't sure which one I wanted, so we're like, maybe we should go talk to some other people, see other doctors. Super frustrating experience. Ended up with a nutritionist because we said, look, there's got to be a way that if I start eating better, that I can get my numbers down and keep them down. That was a super frustrating experience as well. So we kind of felt like we were on our own. And one of the reasons why a long time ago we made the change to growing our own food and trying to eat healthier and eliminating stuff from our diet, and realizing that everything that you buy from a store has got sugar in it, it will shock you.
Yeah, it is. When Michael first went on the medication, it was really frustrating for me because the first thing I asked the doctor was, what do we need to do lifestyle-wise so that we can get off of this? And the doctor just looked at me like I was crazy and said, no, he won't come off this medication because he's diabetic, and this is something he's going to have to take for the rest of his life. And we just weren't happy with that answer. And as Michael said, he just felt miserable still when he was taking the medication. So we were pretty convinced that what we could do is attempt to change our diet. And I remembered, having learned years ago, the quote by Hippocrates, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food," we just kind of dove into trying to discover which would be the best way for us to eat. And we just initially started cutting out carbs. And I know for the first year, we were very strict about that. And we had a lot of success. But, with success came, thankfully, the ability to actually get off the medication for a period of time. And then we kind of slipped back into some of the things that we were doing before, eating snack foods and fast food and food on the go. And I think probably about 3 years ago, we started getting serious again about it and started trying to find the right way of eating. And there are tons of different diets out there. There's keto and carnivore and low carb, high fat, low fat, high carb, vegetarian, vegan. There are tons of things out there, and so we did a little experimenting, and we kind of went through a process of basically, as I said, we started off with low carb, and we were having success with that. We ventured into a little bit of vegan and vegetarianism, and I think we both discovered that it really wasn't.
Well, let's just be honest. I'm not really interested in any of these. Just being really honest, I didn't want to do any of them. The no sugar thing was huge for me. I for a while there, I lived off of Mountain Dew in each hand and a Snicker bars in my mouth constantly. That's how I survived and how I functioned, and it's not advisable. And if you're doing it right now, you really need to stop because you'll pay for it later. Trying little things at a time helps. I had somebody that I was working with who said, okay, if you really want to get to where you're just drinking, your coffee without sugared creamer or anything like that, here's some things that you can do. You can change what you put in your coffee. I thought that just sounds so weird. And butter or salt or coconut oil in my coffee just sounds insane. But hey, it worked. There was a period of time when that just seemed like there's no way I could do that. We did try some different things. The problem is, I think we really need to be consistent.
Yes.
So maybe you should try different ones because, to be honest with you, I think things that Hope can do are not necessarily things that I can do, and vice versa. I think with the Whole30 part, I struggled a little bit with that one. I think Hope had a little more tolerance with that one. But then we switched and we did a carnivore diet, which I wasn't really sure how that was going to work. Now, trust me, I can do that one. That one's not a problem. A really neat side effect to that was that I was less hungry. And so I didn't need 3 meals a day. I didn't. And look at me. I eat, or at least used to, would eat, nonstop from the time I got up till, the time I fell asleep. So tell them what we're doing right now, which has been surprising.
Yeah. First, I want to back up to the Whole30 because Whole30, some people do eat Whole30 as a means for that is their diet. We did Whole30 for 30 days, and that's a diet where you basically it's an elimination diet, and you cut out first of all sugar, you cut out grains, no alcohol, no legumes, no dairy, and no peanuts.
Pretty much know everything.
No peanuts.
No. Well, what it does is it eliminates all of those foods that are like the most common foods that people have sensitivities to. And so what it helps you to do is remove those things from your diet for a period of time. Some people will just do 30 days. Some people do longer than that. And then after the 30 days is over, you kind of, it sort of resets your body to this is what normal should feel like. Then you can start adding things back into your diet slowly. But the problem is, most of the times we add everything back in. But if you add one thing back at a time and pay attention to how your body reacts to that, that will help you to determine what really is the best diet or lifestyle for you, because everybody's needs are different and everybody's body reacts differently to different foods.
There's aspects of that that would help people like myself who struggle with allergies, and I can
Yes.
start to see which things are, setting my allergies off and which are not.
In doing that and coupling that with eating carnivore at one point after that, I came to realize that I do better with quality meats and high fat because that's very satisfying. But I still need some carbs, and not a lot of carbs. I definitely want vegetables, and we're pretty careful about trying to keep our simple carbs down. And we've recently started experimenting with intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so that is one I thought I'm not going to do this. This one I was like, I'm not interested, and I don't think I have been struggling so much with some health issues that it's like, okay, well, let's give it a try. So, and this is where you have to be careful. We are not doctors. Like reiterate, we are not doctors. So I do notice that I struggle if I'm not eating, then I start to get a little shaky and a little jittery, and so there's all kinds of things that you have to take into consideration. The concept, what Hope's goal was, is that we would not eat anything until 10 o'clock in the morning, which means we could still have coffee. And there's a few other things. I mean, you can drink water and that kind of stuff, but that we would not eat anything until 10, and that we would eat dinner around 4 or 5, and I think the latest we were saying was 6, and then we would not eat anything else afterwards. Now, it really sounds impossible, and it would be more complicated for us to have tried this, a couple of years ago, because our lifestyle just wouldn't work with this. She jumped right in, pretty strict with that timetable. I was just adding an hour and subtracting an hour. I would add an hour on the front end. I'd subtract an hour on the back end. So I've been fairly surprised. Now we don't eat breakfast or whatever. We actually had this conversation yesterday with what do we call these meals anymore, because they're not breakfast and not lunch. So meal one.
Well,
and
it
meal
is
two.
breakfast because we are breaking our fast.
Yeah, so it's probably looks a lot more like lunch.
Yeah.
Or sometimes dinner. And then we might eat something. She will wait and not really eat anything in between. In my opinion, 10 to 6 or whatever. That's my window.
If my window's open, I'm going to enjoy it.
But I have seen that over time that I don't need as much as I used to. And if you're...
Don't you think that a lot of the eating and the snacking that we do is just out of habit?
Could be. But when I want something, I want something. So I don't know this habit, or actually, to be honest with you, I think it's if we start craving certain things, then there's something wrong.
Yeah, that's true, because it is supposed to be an indication of, like, depending on the thing that you're craving,
you need
it's supposed to be
your body needs something.
correlate to a certain deficiency in something.
So, kind of going back to just briefly about the carnivore diet, one of the things that was shocking about that, I said, was that I was full. I was really full. And most people would say, well, that just sounds like an expensive diet. Well, factor in how much chips and Coke cost right now. If you go and buy all those snack foods that are not healthy for you, they're expensive.
And then when you develop type 2 diabetes and you have to pay for the metformin.
The medicine and everything else. So factor all that stuff in. What was the thing we just ran across? $5 for a jar of mayonnaise. I mean, good gravy.
Yes. Wow.
But that is one of the reasons why we started raising chickens first. And it's not as hard as it sounds. We kind of call it the gateway drug to homesteading. Once you've had a chicken or two, be careful because you're going to be hooked. And then went from there to raising pigs ourselves. which is also not as complicated as it sounds. But now we've got freezers full of meat, and so it's not nearly as big of a deal as if you were going down to the store and buying a pack of something all the time. You'd have to buy a lot of pack of something to keep.
Yeah, and over the past 2 years, with the way meat prices have just skyrocketed, that would be a difficult transition for somebody to make, to go from a standard American diet to a carnivore diet where they were buying, $20 a pound ribeyes.
Yeah, and
not that we ever did that.
No, but we can talk about the difference in meat as well. There is a difference from we raise our own, and our chickens free range. They're walking around the woods right now. So we didn't get like super organic with everything, because that's a whole nother subject, but definitely non-GMO everything, and it tastes different. And now we rarely do this anymore, but if we go to a restaurant, like, God, this tastes terrible. So you have no idea what you're missing. Just
expensive and disappointing.
Ask Hope about bacon. So
yeah, we did recently go to a restaurant that we used to eat at a lot, and decided to splurge on a Friday or Saturday night. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I had a chicken dish that had bacon, like a piece of bacon across the top of it, and it was thin and very crispy and very salty, and it did not taste like my bacon at home from our pig. So
yes,
I was
that's a video for another day. But oh my word, you get your own, you get it butchered and processed the way you want it. Ours is much thicker, and if you get some smoked ham, so anyway.
Okay.
So just kind of roughly benefits and struggles we've seen. For me, I did lose a fair amount of weight. I'm still losing weight, but not in some super fast rate. I do have some pants I probably need to retire, which is a good thing. But I didn't put all this weight on overnight, so I'm not going to lose it all overnight, and it's not healthy to lose it overnight either. So
that's a good point, because I think we all hear diet and we think, okay, you can look at us and say we are not fitness experts by any means. We're just average 50-somethings who are trying our best to be reasonable about what we're eating and about what we're doing. And if we can do it, anybody can do it.
But, just being honest, this is a journey, and you need to decide to start, and you can do baby steps if you want to, but working through this and being consistent. And once you get past, that one hurdle, try to stay past that hurdle and not go back. Okay. But if you do go back, just
next day it's a new day.
Recorrect. So
recalibrate.
Yeah, recalibrate. So anyway, related to how you eat, is there's a lot of stuff out there, and just because a product has an organic sticker on it, or it says keto, or whatever,
all natural,
like that's a whole nother conversation about what it really is and what you're really eating. But just take those baby steps and educate yourself, because this kind of goes back to, you got to be your own rep. You've got to educate yourself, so that when you go, you may disagree with the doctor. I just recently had an uncomfortable conversation with my nurse practitioner, because I said I don't agree with all that, and I want to get healthier and eat healthier and not be taking this medication all the time. So, but I do want to say on her behalf is that 99% of the people have no intentions of eating any better, and they know that.
Right.
So they just take the metformin and quit pretending like you're going to do this. So.
I would definitely say I would not advise anyone to not listen to their doctor, but also realize that our doctors who have been trained in conventional medicine, their approach is to treat symptoms because of the fact that most people are not going to be willing to make those changes that are necessary. But don't be resigned to the fact that you're going to have to take medication for the rest of your life. Like, do what you can to make changes in your diet and the way you move and your lifestyle to correct the problems and get to the core of them. Just taking a metformin and not changing your diet is not going to, that's no way to live, because you're going to continue to have worse blood sugar problems and have to increase that metformin, and then metformin turns into something else, and then the next thing you know, you're doing insulin injections, and that's just not a future that we wanted to face.
In their defense as well, you know, I've been better at this at times than others, and so my numbers are not great. They're better, but they're not great, and so it's a constant battle. But you will pay the price for not getting these numbers under control. And I struggle with neuropathy, and that's not really something I think I can reverse. I should have done better earlier in that. So anyway, that's just some stuff. Opened up the door for a lot of other conversations. Comment below and let us know some of the things that we mentioned that you'd like to for us to elaborate on. We'd love to know, what kind of information you're looking for. Hope loves this medical stuff, and so she's done a ton of digging into those things, and she was responsible for raising the pigs and chickens, and so share all those experiences, and we can tell you the positives and negatives
of meeting your meat.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun journey. It's it'll change you in a bunch of different ways. It's very interesting. So anyway, we appreciate y'all listening to us today, and see you on the next one.